You're listening to It Came From the Radio. As you know, this is Dr. Feldy. I'm here with filmmaker, writer, director TJ Kiss. He produced Renters and is currently producing the movie Necromance. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Dr. Feldy. I appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome very much. Taking some time out of my busy day, and it's really great to have you. I've been seeing clips all over. Jennifer's one of my patients, and she's been showing me clips.
hmm
You've been busy with this Necromance movie.
Yes. For quite a while, we've been working on it very hard. Jen has been a great help.
I know she's always about 15 minutes late to her appointments for me reliably, but other than that,
That's
she's all
worked in.
right.
That's
It's
worked
worked
into
in.
the schedule. Yes,
All
that's
right.
worked into the
Yeah,
schedule.
when it comes to her, you want to leave like 5 to 15 minutes, maybe 17
Always.
minutes once in a
Nothing
while.
wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. A buffer is always good.
And having the bathroom nearby, she likes to pee a lot. But other than that, it's all good. All right, we're gonna go into our first question now. TJ Kiss, grocery bills are sky high. In my world, I've gotten into commercial production, so they pay the bills and the Botox and lip injections. But movies, generally, in my experience, the indie movies, they pay very little. So you can't be shooting this movie for the money. I mean, you can't be. What's your motivation for shooting and producing this movie, Necromance?
So the motivation behind this is really just trying to accomplish, accomplish a dream, like something you've always wanted to do and never had the, gumption to try. And now giving it my all, pushing forward with the team around me that I'm working with, and we're getting some great results. And the hope is to take this, and hopefully people are impressed and want to see what I want to make next and want to help me make what I want to make next. And then that just to continue to grow and grow from there.
Now, could you tell our listeners just a little bit about the storyline of the Necromance movie? What's
Sure,
this all
sure,
about?
of course. So Necromance, it tells a story of Birdie, who is the it girl at her school. She's got everything, but she wants more. So she dabbles a little bit in the dark arts and casts a spell on her and a boyfriend to stay together forever. Of course, predictably that goes off the rails, and then the story goes from there. But there's a lot of comedy, a lot of horror, blending that together. It's a real
Right.
fun story with some amazing cast and crew involved.
And how come you wanted to pick this story specifically?
Well, it's interesting. Actually, the story came to me from my co-writer and co-producer on this, Sean Clark. He presented me a short story, about a 20-page short film called Necromance, with a lot of the same characters we have in the film, and a lot of the same basic storyline. And he wanted me to direct it. At the time, I had just completed filming Renters, and so filming something else of that length was going to be difficult to accomplish. So rather than do that, I talked him into, let's make a small proof of concept short and kind of show people what we could make. Because in his
Mhm.
script, we still would need to film at a school, in which case we're going to need to generate some funds that we don't have ourselves to be able to get a location that is going to pull it off. So that started where we made that proof of concept. And then, in getting into the story, I told Sean I felt we could really take this story and make it a lot bigger and stronger and into a feature film. So I
Right.
sort of asked his permission to take his baby and sort of bring it to age and take his little, short film and then make it into a feature. He loved what I did with the story. And we've gone forward with it from since.
I gotta tell you, I'm personally me, personal Dr. Feldy. I'm not the biggest into horror and gore. I read your script. Jennifer gave me my script. She actually read it to me while I was doing Botox injections. I started crying at the end. I felt something for this script. This is a really, really cool script. I saw some clips. This is not just like slash them up, bust them up, and gut them. There's actually some substance to it. Your lead actress is phenomenal. All the characters are quite
Yeah.
interesting, it seems like.
Well, yeah, I definitely I did try to bring as much to it as I could, and we didn't want it to end up being just a typical teenage slasher.
Right.
So we kind of tried. So it's almost more. Jen actually said this. She said it's more of a cautionary tale about the use of the dark arts and witchcraft and stuff like that, where
Right.
it's not really glorifying it so much. We're seeing a girl who has everything, and then how everything changes because she pushes too far to try and get it all, as opposed to just
Right.
enjoying the great life that she has.
Right now, I'm not much of a religious. I'm not too religious. I've been dabbling a little this year. I've been, well, we're the same age. I'm like, what's this all about? But it really does seem like, I don't know if it could be written by a pastor or a preacher, but I feel like some congregations might actually approve of this, because it's like, hey, if you want to do spells and voodoo and moodoo, things might not work out for you. If you're going to kill your teachers, you might end up dead. It's not sexy to be doing spells with your boyfriend, because look what happens. And it's not just about these topless girls running around. Is there any topless girls in this?
There is no topless. There is no nudity in the film. No nudity.
Well, you have one
There is no
buxom.
topless.
There's definitely have one buxom girl, but it's not a typical horror where you have like 6 naked girls. There's quotas sometimes.
Sometimes there are, not in this one. No. There was, well, this was
Right.
I'm the final say on this, so I kept it at that.
Right. I see. I've only been filmmaking for 2 years, getting in, and I seen Jen, and I'm like, oh, it looks so much fun. And there's 3 films that had quotas for the amount of boobs that they needed to show. So I just thought that was very interesting. Anyway, back to you now. TJ, shooting movies, it takes up major time and energy, and we're about the same age. And you entertain a wife, 2 kids, manage a business. I mean, you're a busy guy. And many people out here say, oh, if you really want to, you'll find the time. But no, there's 24 hours in a day, and you have to make sacrifices. You can't do everything. A lot of people say, oh, you can do everything. No, you can't. I told my neighbor up the street, if you want to see me, one of my family members is going to have to die, and then I'll make time for you, because I don't have time before that. So my question to you is, what activities have you cut out or maybe missed out because you're prioritizing movie making?
Of course, there's definitely any time that I'm filming and something is time that I could be spending with my family, because I'm not working at my professional job, and therefore I am free. I'm very lucky that my wife has been very supportive and understanding, and allowing us to even film in our home,
Awesome.
with the kids and stuff here, all that kind of stuff. As me personally, the biggest thing is I used to be a very avid golfer, and I play golf maybe once a year now, because if I
Oh,
have spare time, it's going into either the family, or the film, or the film family.
all right. Well, maybe get back to golf a little bit when it's time to raise some funds, because golf course can be a nice way to make some contacts when you need some
Yeah, that's
investors.
true. That's fair point. I mean, not any of the people I play golf with, I'll tell you that.
Or you come down to my office. Some of these ladies have some rich husbands. I only got a few male patients who get the
Oh, there we go.
Botox. So we'll talk later after the
Hey,
show.
listen,
Now,
I'll caddy for them if they want, if they're willing to kick in a few bucks.
hey, Caddyshack, that's my favorite movie of the whole time. Rodney
It is a
Dangerfield,
classic. It is
R.I.P.,
a classic.
R.I.P. Dog food, dog
Well,
food. All
my
right,
uncle is a judge, and when we play golf, I get to say to him one of my favorite lines from that film, which is "Your Honor, Your Honor."
Your Honor, Your Honor. Oh, well, it must have been something before electricity. All right, next question. Now, what film movie making advice was given to you that you are glad you took, or maybe some advice you're glad you avoided?
Um, that's a good question.
Yes, it is.
Um, I would say probably, and it wasn't even. It's not even really advice that was given to me personally, um, but it's from an interview that Kevin Smith did many years ago. Particularly, I remember he was on a rooftop in the rain, so he's got an umbrella over his head. But he's talking about needing to have a certain amount of reasonable unreasonability to become a filmmaker, because, as he says, reasonability dictates that you can't do it. Like, I'm not living in LA. My uncle wasn't Francis Ford Coppola. I'm not, extremely wealthy and can just, go out and do whatever I want to do. But still to do that and be like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. I can still do this. And I don't care what they say. I'm going to go ahead and do this. So that is actually one of like 3 little, like, motivational videos that I watch almost daily. Just about, pushing forward and pursuing a dream, and not giving up, just because it's not something that you technically like should be doing or anything like that, you know?
Right. Right. I did that for dentistry. I didn't finish dental school, and I said, I could do it. People said you really shouldn't be doing root canals. You didn't finish school, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway, and it didn't really work out. So maybe you can make a movie about that as a cautionary tale. Maybe that could be a
Well, it
theme.
seems
DJ
you
Kiss
seem to be
cautionary
doing
tales.
just fine. You seem to be doing just fine now, Dr. Feldy. So
Well,
whatever path it was, it led you to where you are now.
Well, thanks to the ladies of Nassau County that like their
There you
lips
go.
filled and their face unwrinkled. So now back to movies. What is a movie or movie scene that has inspired you and why?
I talk about this every time I'm anywhere, but really, Shaun of the Dead is like one of my all-time favorite movies. Probably just below like The Big Lebowski, which is something I can recite and not have to actually watch. But mainly because that movie really ties in home because it brought me back into being like a horror fan. Like when I was younger, my aunt, my older cousin, we would watch all these, the classic 80s horror movies and 70s horror movies when, I was like, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And then when I got into high school and then into college, I kind of, I don't know, I felt it was all kind of retreads and I don't know, I wasn't really enjoying much. I wasn't really into the, the Hostel and stuff like the torture porn kind of stuff.
Right.
And then Shaun of the Dead came out, and that was like the perfect blend of comedy and horror. It's not a horror movie with some jokes thrown in there, and it's not just a comedy movie with some horror in there. It really is like it's got nods to both genres. It's a perfect
Mm-hmm.
blend of that. And to me, that's the perfect blend. That's like, and people think this
Mm-hmm.
is weird, but when I go to the movie theater, which is rare now, unfortunately, but when I go to the movie theater, I get popcorn and I get Sour Patch Kids, and I mix the Sour Patch Kids into my popcorn, so that when I take a bite and I get a both, you get sweet, salty, and sour all in one bite. It's the perfect
Huh.
blend of everything, just
Well,
like
I've
Shaun of
done
the
that
Dead.
with Reese's and popcorn. Oh, and
My mom
Huntington
does that.
Theater.
My mom
Ooh.
dips it in and eats it.
Oh yeah. Moving on to
But you
our
get
next one. Ooh.
I was saying it's the same thing. It's the combination of those different things together that just hits so perfect.
God, I see. Yeah, no, I in the clips you showed me, there was comedy in this like seance scene, but it was also kind of spooky.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's my favorite as well. I the hostel, uh, hostel personally for me ruined my life for 2 years. I didn't watch
Okay.
scary movies and not much since, ever since Hostel 2, because I saw that movie and I was like, well, if I ever want to live alone ever in my life, I'm not going to be able to. And I wasn't able to for years because that movie was so scary. So speaking of storylines that you might not want to do, Meatloaf, R.I.P., said, "I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that." Describe some storylines or movies that we won't see you making.
Oh, that's interesting. Most likely, I would say definitely probably a musical. I probably would never do. Not because I have anything against them, just because I don't
I
think
do.
that's something that would be up my alley. You like
Not my
musicals?
alley. I can't stand them. I said I
Oh,
saw
okay, good.
was the Book of Mormon. Someone took me to see that co-star and
Didn't
the
like
Slate
that.
Grown and I said the whole thing would be great if they just stopped singing.
That's the whole point.
No,
Well,
no.
sorry about that. I had to fix my hat there. That's the whole point of the musical. Well, yeah, that's one that I probably would not do. Um, I don't know. Anything else? I mean, I guess I would be willing to take a stab at, but yeah, musicals, I don't know if that would be in my forte.
I appreciate that message and I applaud it. Moving on. Now, film school, it can only teach you so much. Mentors, a diligent crew, your wife, compassionate actors, and overly communicative Jennifer Feldman can only warn you about so much. Now, what things were you not prepared for that you had to learn on the film set?
Oh, all right. So there's every time I'm on a set, there's something else that I'm learning or learning from a mistake from before, from one day me putting the boom for the boom mic in a weird spot that made it impossible to see, that wasted like 25 minutes of me frantically searching around to find it. Little things like
Ooh,
that, to like
right?
like like bigger things like being more diligent on, scheduling in advance and booking locations in advance and over communicating. The difference in being a director and having a assistant director on set versus doing it all your own, especially in a larger scale setting.
Right.
All those kinds of, there's not one thing I could tell you, Jen, because every single time I do something, there's something else that I'm learning, which is great because that's the only way I've been able to get to where I am now, is from learning from
Right.
all the mistakes I make.
Right, and you're a very quick learner from what I've seen. And really, the way I see film sets, it's kind of like a microcosm of life. Everyone has to be in the spot where they need to be. If someone's playing a wife and they should play a construction worker, it's all mixed up, mumbo jumbo. And really, if you're not learning anything on a film set, I would imagine that you're not learning anything in life. And people can't learn lessons in life, and they repeat the same lesson. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Generally they're problematic on the film set as well, because it's just a microcosm for the real life. That's what I find. You find someone, they got something wrong in their real life, that's probably going to happen on the film set. You'll
Right.
see.
Yeah.
You'll
Yeah.
see. So now, speaking of film sets, what's some top 5 or top 3, or I don't know, top 20, top 1 locations that you would like to use?
Oh, so probably the number one is a casino in Atlantic
Ooh.
City, mainly because I have a story, a short story I wrote that I want to eventually develop into a script that would take place there, mainly in the casino. So that
Hmm.
would be number one on the list because it means I would be able to make that.
Right.
Aside from that, like, that's something I'd have to think about. And next time I'm on with you, I'll give you some
Yeah.
more options.
So number one, casino. Okay, casino.
Specifically in Atlantic City, it would have to be there, the boardwalk, all of that. Basically, Atlantic City. I would want to film in Atlantic City.
All right. Well, I might have some yeah, that might be
This
possible
is
on some
down.
level.
This is further down the road, Dr. Feldy. This
Well,
is
I'll tell you this. Jennifer came into my office. She doesn't get Botox or lip injections, but she comes and we just chatting up and just chomping up. But she's afraid of needles. But she had done makeup in Atlantic City, and I'll tell you a quick little story of what not to do. Nice guy that she was shooting for, seems like it, right? I'm not going to mention any names. So she goes all the way to Caesar's Palace, do makeup. She's offered nice, pretty penny to do it. All right, I'll go in for the day. She says, all right. She had seen me. She drove to Atlantic City, got there, stayed about an hour, hour and a half or two, because the producer failed to get everything approved for this short film, or maybe it was a feature film, whatever it was. And Caesars stopped down the film. And that the story is that she told me they were carried in sandbags and film equipment. They weren't doing guerrilla shooting to a hotel room. They actually rented out a hotel room. They did spend money. And as soon as the Caesars saw the sandbags coming in, shut it down. And she said this producer looked like he was gonna cry. And she told me, she gave him a little pep talk and said, "Listen, how old are you? I'm 20 years older than you. Are you gonna forget this day?" And he said, "No." And I said, "I feel like I'm her sometimes." Well, I guess you're not gonna make this mistake again. And
correct. You
yeah,
better not. Yeah.
yep, he ended up, I think, renting out some fancy place in New York City, maybe like Lotta Palace or something like that, and it all
Mm-hmm.
worked out. But yeah, that was an expensive lesson, and the guy had to pay everyone for a half day. I think she said it was a huge crew, so that was an
I
expensive
bet.
lesson. So
Yeah.
you better, if you're gonna shoot in Caesar's Palace or hotel, you better be guerrilla shooting, real secret, and be ready to run, or you better
Yeah.
be willing to shut it down.
Totally approved. Yeah. Or be totally approved. Yeah. Above
Yeah.
board.
Above board. So you know what? This will be concluding the radio portion of the interview.
All
So
right.
you know what? Why don't you give us our socials and we'll close up the radio portion, send it back to it came from the
Sure.
radio. So TJ, where can we find you? What's your website, socials? Give us the news.
Best spots would be on Instagram. You can follow me at KIGB Productions. You can follow the Necromance at Necromance 2024. TKiss24 on Twitter
All right.
or X. but that's pretty much it. That's the best spots. And on YouTube, you can look at Kiss It Goodbye Productions as well and see all of our previous shorts and mini shorts that we've done, and